The understanding of architecture itself was very poor in the early days. And everyone knows who is an architect now. A building like this, in a remote corner like this, a student who is studying here, a parent who comes over here, a teacher who teaches here, all that know what is architecture, what is a school. Here, the Rane Group has come with a real intention to do something good for the rural public. So, their intention has influenced us also a lot. They want to do something for Trichy, where the education, particularly of a CBSE category, is needed. The CBSE syllabus, which has become must now, is being, to my knowledge, given at a very reasonable cost. Because they don't want to make money out of it, they wanted to do good service to them. He wanted to do it for the real rural people. Barefoot students can also walk in there. We wanted to do it in a Gurukulam kind of a style. We wanted to bring in the openness to the class. And the younger level, up to 3rd standard, 4th standard, we don't want the student to come and sit in the class and watch like a kind of a formal teaching. We want them to go around. It is not only, paying the fees and then, teaching them with the books. In Mofussil, it is more close interactive with teaching, and that's a kind of a relationship in Mofussil towns you will have with the teacher. Not only teacher relation, even architect-client relations will be such. It's more emotional bondings here. It is not just around the money alone here. So a similar kind of bondage happens between the teacher and the students. And for the student, what is happening here is going to be in his mind for the rest of his life. Education is also part of the life. That is how it's been considered earlier, and that is happening over here. It is not only the curriculum, it is not only the marks what they gain, but it is the atmosphere in total that is going to change the character of the society which is studying.
And the brief what Rane Group told us was they wanted a safe and secure educational environment. That is the one line what they gave. When we spoke to Mr. Lakshmanan, the chairman of Rane Group, he had that vision of improving the quality of education in rural area. Any project in Shanmugam Associates, we usually start with the 3 C's: context, climate and concept. Eventually these 3 C's shape the building. We are from Trichy, so we know this region very well. There are a lot of houses and slightly bigger temples which are built with a unique construction technique. They use different materials in wall particularly. Wall construction type was really unique. They had stones, they had rocks, and then they used muds, and then they used bricks. So that gave a point where we can start. When we look at materials for this project, then we have to go with this language of what's happening around. In terms of climate, this area is hot and water scarce, and it has a lot of dust. We try to achieve the climate factor by giving lot of pockets garden in the ground floor, and the same pocket converts to void in different levels, and it is not exactly one stacked on the other. So these pockets and voids at different level let you the natural ventilation cut through, creates a kind of a tunnel effect. And these pockets are not exactly one opposite to each other. So we have a huge pocket in southwest corner, and relatively there is one on the northeast corner. Southwest to northeast, the wind direction in this region. So this gets the tunnel effect inside the courtyard. The terracotta material jali what we used, that has an impact on microclimate. Because what happens, all these microclimates are achievable because we had voids, small voids. What happens, it lets you reduce the amount of sunlight and also the dust. The dust we can filter to some extent. At the same time, this jali will let enough ventilation pass through these pockets of spaces inside the classroom. The concept stage, which actually is the soul of this building. Every project, what if we try to reinvent something from the past and history? What we really liked about the Gurukulam idea is the learning was not restricted to a built form. It was happening under a people tree. It was happening when the Guru and the Shishya was going for a walk along the river. So the learning was happening everywhere. So that was the essence we wanted to capture in our institution. You can see the materials what we used. The idea was to capture the layers in this buildings. So we were looking at what all the different type of materials we can get locally. So not more than 50 kilometers radius. We have a lot of cement factories in this region. From there we get fly ash and compressed brick and red brick, which is very common in this region. And then we have the jali, terracotta jali, which is also available in this way. Apart from these three, we have one more layer, what we call the concrete layer. For such a big scale of project, we couldn't avoid concrete and reinforcement structures. The courtyard is our core, and it has to be very interesting. If you look at the sections of the entire courtyard, you will find minimum 6 to 7 variation in scales. If you look at the corridors on both sides, it's not exactly one on top of the other. At some places it will be stepping out from away from the courtyard. At some points it's getting inside the courtyard. So that way what happens, the space is become much more interesting when the scale is different and you have a huge volume in center. So we try to create that kind of volumes. These courtyards, we want to make it much more interactive spaces. It not just serves a purpose of bringing the light inside the building. It allows you multitude of functions. Sometimes they use it as assembly space, sometimes they use it as a function for annual day. Ultimate idea was not to create spaces, but to create place making. Like these places gives you lot of memories. The courtyard roof light is one of the way we address the climate. So this area is hot sun. If we have let the courtyard completely open to sky, the entire idea was gone. So nobody would have played in the courtyard if there is too much sun. If it is completely closed, then it is also not. So we need to find the right ambient light that is exactly enough for that courtyard. These punctures are not just a light source. These let hot air vent out. So these hot air have to be ventilated through the holes. So all these circles has a ventilation system in the top. We have left the finishes, particularly the materials, raw, natural finish what we get. We are able to see all those layers because it was not sugar coated on top. It's not plastered on top. So the entire building facade outside doesn't have a plastic or painting or putty. So in terms of financial, we were able to reduce it. At the same time, we were able to capture the essence of the building material and express it straight away. I also hope in the longer run the management will look into furthermore involvement of the community. Like the courtyard can be used as spaces for some of the community gathering. I think that will definitely create an impact, and they will also understand that raw material, if you leave it open like this, that is also a quality. It is not described as poor, it's not cheap. It is obviously local, but this local is the new global, right? So they will understand that kind of language from this building. So they will know that the 40-50 years old what they have in their houses is not a waste. It's actually something they should be proud of. We don't want to try, perfection in building. We are okay with, a little more imperfection. There is always a scope of addition, which is, I think, it's good for a good design. If you have that, given the flexibility, to add something more in future, then I think that's something every design should consider about. Your planning should also accommodate the lifestyle or the program which is completely going to be changed after 20 years. So imperfections are good.